Everyone, welcome to the session on introducing Totara Learn 13. Now we've still got a few participants joining. We've got quite a few people here today, so it's just taking a little while for everyone to get into the Zoom room. So I want to say to start with, thank you so much for joining us. It's fantastic to have you here and to have so much interest in the session today. So my name is Meredith Henson. I'm the Senior Solutions Consultant at Totara Learning, and I'm joined by the sensational Matt Lineker, Customer Success Manager. Hi, Matt.
Hi, Meredith, and hello, everyone who's joining.
So, wow, we've just hit a good number. Excellent. So, because we are still waiting for a few people to join, I'm interested today to get a feel for who I'm going to be talking to. I'm just going to run a very quick poll. It's completely anonymous. I can't tell who you are and who has responded. So please do be honest. And it's just to help me a little shape how I cover things off today, how much detail I go into things. We've got a lot to cover. So I want to make sure that you guys get exactly what you need here. So just a quick poll to find out why you might be joining us today and how I can shape the presentation. And this is also a great way to buy some time while we're waiting for a few more people to join. So I'm not going to run it for too much longer. Getting a good feel. At this stage, it looks like the majority are existing Totara Learn users. This is fantastic. This is great news for my presentation. It's how I was expecting it, but we're also seeing a couple of people that might not be familiar with Totara Learn. Excellent. All right. Well, I think, oh gosh, the numbers are rocketing through. So I might keep that up and just skip to the next slide. So while folks are just getting their last few answers in. So again, thank you so much for joining. Really appreciate having you here. So today's session is going to be a mix of PowerPoint slides, but predominantly a live site demo. So I'm going to be switching between slides and a couple of different demo sites that I've got up and running. And the reason I'm doing that is so anyone who's watching this recording again or looking through the slides can look at the slide summaries of what I'm going to be covering. So they kind of act as bookmarks for the various functionality that I'm going to be covering off today. Now, questions are very much welcome. We have a big group today, so I'd ask for two things. One, if you could please post them in the Q&A functionality within Zoom. That way that we've got one entry for every question and we can keep track of them really easily. Matt is on the chat and looking after the Q&A, and he's going to be feeding me those questions when we take a break. And I'll take a break throughout the session today just to make sure we cover off as many questions as we can. The second thing I'd ask is that just to indulge me really, because we've got a big group, because we've got a lot to get through today. I might not get through everything, all of your questions, but what I will do is in the Totara community, which if you're not a member of, I would very much encourage you to join. And Matt might post a link to that, the community now. And within the community, there are a number of chat or forum areas and for each of the products that we open. So I'll be posting any answers to any questions I don't get through today, or maybe that are technical and I can't answer, and I'll be posting those as a follow-up post within the forum. So do make sure that you're subscribed. And for anyone that was at the Talent Experience platform presentation last week, the questions that were unanswered there have been also posted there within the community forums, and a brand new forum that I noticed not very many people are subscribed to. So if you didn't get your question answered there, do pop over to the community, and under the forums area, you should find my responses. So Matt, as I say, is going to be on the chat and helping me address the questions and keep time. He'll be posting any links to any resources or particularly interesting areas in the chat. So I'd suggest you keep the chat open. And we are recording today's session, and that recording will be available through the community, so you can watch and share as you need. And as I say, any follow-up discussions or any questions that you have after the fact, so once we hang up, you think, oh, I forgot to ask that, head over to the Totara community and you can get in touch with us there. Alrighty, I am going to close this poll here on screen. Anything to add before I get started, Matt?
No, just to say that in the chat, if you do post something, I think you can change it so it goes to all the attendees as well, if you wanted it to be to everyone. Otherwise, it would just come directly to myself and Meredith, which is fine as well.
Yeah. You can share with all, or you can send it to us directly. Alrighty, so let us get started. So I want to cover off today an introduction to Totara 13. Now, from the poll results, the majority of you guys are familiar with Totara. You're either an existing Totara user or a Totara partner. For those, the minority, very much welcome. A good way of finding out a little bit more about Totara Learn and some of the functionality I won't be going through today in great detail, so the stuff you see on screen now, is heading over to our YouTube channel and maybe watching some of the videos, or heading over to the Totara Academy. There's a range of courses there. They are really fantastic, and there is an introduction to Totara Learn course in there, which can give you a quick feel for what the product can offer. So Totara 13 offers everything that we have in Totara 12 now, which many of you will be using. So we have a degree of automation and personalization. We can track compliance and mandatory training. There is a custom report builder. You can have your site custom themed and branded. It's GDPR compliant. It supports adaptive learning and gamification. And a big part is it can connect to your HR or your student management system to import users and update them across the site, as well as things like competency management and learning plans, and of course the seminar tool, which we'll be talking a lot about today, which provides support for offline or instructor-led or external training from the system. So I'm going to start with what's been added in 13 with a list here of what I'm going to cover off. So I'll be going into each of these items in a little bit more detail. And as I say, I'm going to move between slides and a live demo. So we've got enhanced multi-tenancy, the Totara mobile app, a range of improvements across the report builder, some really great and significant updates to the seminar management tool, a number of new dynamic audience rules. There's so many, we've got 2 pages. We've got open badges standard 2.0 now integrated across Totara Learn 13. There's been a number of really nice updates to the catalogue area. There's a new evidence bank area. We've made some really nice changes to the profile page, and we can now have guest dashboards. And overall, there's an improved look and feel, which you'll see as soon as I skip over to one of my demo sites here. Now, as I say, we've got a lot to cover off, so I'm going to go pretty fast, but I would say that if you want to drill into any of these areas in more detail, the Academy has a range of courses across the new functionality in Totara Learn 13, and as well as the help documentation, so you can drill in. Plus, Matt and I will probably be running some community webinars over the coming months and drill down into some of these areas, and you can sign up to those and keep an eye on what webinars we're going to be offering from sort of October onwards, end of October onwards, through the upcoming webinars page within the Totara community. So, taking a breath, enhanced multi-tenancy. So we've implemented what we're calling enhanced multi-tenancy. And the reason we're calling that is because Totara 12 and earlier does support a degree of multi-tenancy. You can have audiences in different organizations and group them together and have a different user experience. But we've really ramped that up now across Totara 13. And the functionality now where you have distinct groups of people or tenants means that you can really create an extended enterprise solution. So by extending training and development beyond internal staff to include partners and customers can ultimately improve things like customer service and engagement by increasing awareness of your knowledge, awareness and knowledge of your products and services, as well as make that connection with your users, hopefully a bit like what we're doing now. The functionality also, in terms of multi-tenancy, allows you to have a dissemination of user and course administration rights, which means you can have user managers for one tenant who can create and edit users just within their nominated tenant, which means you can rather than relying on a single site administrator to do all the work, you can empower these user managers and these course managers to create users and update users and create courses as required, which offers a kind of new model in terms of a Totara Learn site. You could have many organizations using the one site, or you could have one organization that has distinct departments looking after their own areas across the site. So let's have a look what that looks like. So I'm going to be running across 2 demo sites today. One is just my little local site. I'm running Totara 13. This is just running Learn. And this is where I want to focus on functionality that is very specific to Learn. However, I have another site that I'll be using occasionally, which has Totara Learn, Totara Engage, Totara Perform, the full talent experience platform installed. So you can see how everything ties together. So this here, a bit uninspiring here in terms of demonstration, but I'm logged in as an administrator, and this is where you can create new tenants. So you can have any number of tenants as required. You can call them whatever you like. Okay. And you can have any number of nominated user managers who I say can add or edit users either individually or in bulk, and domain managers who can create subcategories and courses within their tenant category as required. And there, like I say, there's a great academy course which covers all of these new roles. So to create a new tenant, we give a name and a unique ID number. Excuse me, and every tenant gets their own category, they get their own audience, and they get a dedicated dashboard. And this means you can have very much a unique user experience for every individual that's part of a tenant. Now you can also have tenant themes. I'm going to touch on that towards the end when I'm talking about the new look and feel, because that's where the functionality sits, so it ties together really nicely. So that is multi-tenancy, super quickly. Of course, there's a lot more functionality involved. So things like having, you can have a model where you have shared courses or completely separate courses, or you can have a combination of the two. So if you're in a tenant, you can typically only access and see those courses that sit within your tenant category if isolation mode is on. If isolation mode's off, then you are the only group that can view your tenant courses within your category, but you can also have a shared courses with other tenants. So you've got that option about how you model that functionality. There's also the introduction of the Totara mobile app across Totara Learn 13. Now there is a dedicated session on Totara mobile, so I'm going to push through this really quickly, but I will say it is a fantastic update across the Totara platform. The app is available across the Google and Apple stores. You can download it now. And what it allows for is kind of learning on the go and just-in-time learning. So individuals that might not have access to a PC or laptop at all times during the day as they're on the move, but still have kind of quick learning requirements, such as people maybe on the shop floor, maybe sales reps who do a quick cram of a new product or service before doing a presentation, or maybe staff updating on new medical processes and procedures, particularly at the moment. So there's a range of different authentication options that will work with your single sign-on if you have it established already. Once you log into the app, you have a branded experience. It doesn't have to be the Totara green. It could look like your existing site. And what it allows users to do currently is access all of their current learning, their courses, programs, and certifications, go in and view those courses, and complete activities and resources as they would normally. It also has an offline SCORM player, so you can download your e-learning onto your phone and complete it potentially when you're offline or have low connectivity. Maybe you're on a train or a plane or out at sea, and you can then sync back your completion and your scores once you're back online. And there's also push notifications within the Totara mobile app, so that allows for engagement and reminders, which ultimately helps completions, safety, compliance, as well as it's easier, much harder for people to forget they are enrolled on a seminar course. I'm going to take a breath here before I move on to Report Builder and ask Matt, is there any questions for me?
Meredith. Yeah, we've got a few questions just for everyone in the webinar. I'll read some of the questions out so that everyone can see what people are asking, and hopefully you'll all benefit from those questions. So just coming to multi-tenancy, because we were talking about that. We're asking a question: can learners belong to more than one tenant?
Oh, it is a good question. Thank you. So perhaps is the answer to that question. So you've got two different types of user across a tenant. You have a tenant member who is typically a learner, and they are associated with a single tenant. You can also have what's called a tenant participant, who's someone that can participate across multiple tenants. And those participants tend to be the people that are user managers or trainers or facilitators that might access multiple courses or create multiple courses across all tenants. So you can have either or both.
Okay, just to follow up on that. So how separate are tenants? Can admins see user info from another tenant, for example?
So site administrators can, a tenant administrator cannot. They can only see and edit user information for users that belong to their specific tenant. It is very separate. Noting that if you are in a shared course, for example, rather than a tenant course, if there are other individuals from other tenants in that shared course, it would behave like it would now, that unless you put other role restrictions in place, users can participate and interact within those shared environments. But if you don't want that, you can then have solely tenant-only courses and spaces.
Thanks, Meredith. Can a tenant have a dedicated URL?
No, no, not at this stage. I mean, you can do some exciting things with redirects at the server level, but at this stage, they're all using the same site. But they do have a unique dashboard. So you could, in theory, link them to the individual dashboard.
Okay, if I just move on to the app, just because we're getting lots of questions today. So on the mobile app, is the Totara mobile app free? And what level of customization does it offer for free
It
or
is
paid?
free. It is free for all Totara subscribers. So it's free to download and use now. You can have it all installed by the end of this presentation. And the level of customization, you can customize the kind of colors and the look and feel of the app through a UI. If you want further customization, the partners do have access. So our alliance partners do have access to the code and can make specific customizations to the app.
Okay, so a couple of people are asking the same question. So does the mobile app work only for v13, or would it work on Totara Learn 12, for example?
The Totara Mobile is designed to work with Totara 13 onwards. And use will extend across Totara Engage and Totara Perform in later versions of the app.
Okay, and just with the offline SCORM player, does that mean that the SCORM is downloaded onto the mobile device?
It does, yeah.
Great, we're getting a few more questions about multi-tenancy, but maybe we'll come back to those later, perhaps.
Okay, great. And I would say if you want a deeper dive into the Totara Mobile app, the presentation in a couple of weeks' time on the Totara Mobile will be done by the product manager of the mobile who knows everything about it. So any questions that I can't answer today, you can park and ask Chloe directly when she runs her session week after next. So the report builder, you've all had time to read this slide, so I won't go through it. We'll go straight into the demo here. And I'm going to go into my reports area. So the reports area immediately, for those that are using Totara Learn already, you can see there's a much improved interface. We've now got a visual and card-based view rather than the static view. You've got some configurations options. This new exciting bug where my mouse just disappears. There we go. Or you can change it to a list view as you so wish. And if you've got a lot of reports, you get a load more button down the bottom here. And not only are these cards just a little bit more attractive, they also show the kind of graphical reporting that may or may not be associated with your report. So for example, here, the admin site activity overview report, I can see that there is a line graph or not quite a line graph, an area graph, and you can see that there's a basic animation associated with this, and that's reflective of the new graphical report library that we've implemented across Totara 13. And this is, you can use the old one or the new one. Chart.js. But what Chart.js does is provide this nice slick look and feel to the reports. It also introduces a couple of new graph types. So we now have donuts and progress donuts. You can see here, those are my progress donuts. And the look and feel is again, modern, more appealing, and updated along with the rest of the site. So particularly with these percentage or progress donuts, it gives you a better look and a better quick view of progress across the site. So you can generate some really nice graphical reports using these new graph types. And of course, you can add those to a dashboard if you so wish. And I've got a mock-up on my next slide showing on how you can leverage this new look and feel across your dashboards. Now, that's just going back a step. You might have noticed as well that you've now got a create report button here on your reports area if you have appropriate access rights to do so. And when you create a report, we've also got an updated interface here. So rather than looking through a long drop-down list of all the different report sources that you have available to you, you can now filter on these items as you go. And you can then restrict the view of the particular report. And by clicking on it, again, a little bit like the course catalog, you can read a bit more about what this particular report source will be able to provide, and the default columns if you generate that report. And you'll notice there's now a quick create and view option across these new report sources. So you can very quickly generate a report as you need. Now, going back a step, on this page also, you have the ability to search across report sources. So you can enter a search if you want a particular item. And you'll notice here, there's also a section here called templates. And this is new functionality that we've provided with a series of embedded reports or report sources, which are not only quick create, but have the kind of content that we receive feedback from partners and subscribers, the kind of reports that are quite often generated. So there's the admin side activity report. And these templates are divided into administrator and learner, so who the report is about or who it would appeal to. And you can do a quick create on these reports, which already have, it's kind of more of a bagel than a donut in this case. We have a quick create for the graphical report, so you don't have to generate and go through the graphical report setup as well. Now, finally on this page, if that wasn't enough, then when you are looking at a report, we have implemented what are called default saved searches. So if you've got a particular report where you want to make adjustments to the particular report, so it shows a particular search. So here, the search, if you want it to always, or by default, look for a particular program or a particular course, what you can do is enter that search and save it. And then with that save, you can say this is the default. So when I view that report again, or another individual I've shared that report views that report again, that is the default search criteria, and they can clear it or they can use it as required, which means if you're using one report, 9 times out of 10 to look at a particular program or certification or course, you don't have to enter it in every time. You can just run that default saved search. So as an example of the dashboard with the new graph types and the new interface, a dashboard maybe for an administrator can look really fantastic. You can leverage the new look and feel and the new softer, more modern colors that we've implemented across the graphical report builder. Alrighty, I might take questions on reports because seminars are a bigger topic. Is there a few in there for me?
There certainly are. So with reports, can you create folders in the report list?
No, the report list is, well, not by default. You can of course talk with your partner to do that, but they're listed here alphabetically.
Can you change the colors in the graphs at the moment?
You can do that via the theme, and there are some options in terms of configuring the graph colors as well that you can adjust. That's a little bit more technical, but there are some instructions in the developer docs which you can work through. But yeah, you can put together a report here that shows you the default colors. It's a silly silly report, but you can see that they're actually quite a nice color palette now. So hopefully no one's going to be objecting to them, but you can change them if you so wish.
Thanks, Meredith. Can I still display the report source in the overview?
I'm not sure what you mean by overview. I'm wondering if you, I'm not sure what you mean by, maybe you could clarify what you mean by overview. Yeah, that would be helpful. I'm not quite sure what you mean there, I'm afraid.
Okay, we'll come back to that one. Can you create multi-level donuts? Sounds good, doesn't it? Can you create I would like a multi-level donut. Can you create multi-level donuts, clickable for drill down reporting?
See, now I'm hungry.
I am hungry.
So yeah, there's a degree of drill down by viewing and hovering over. I'm not sure we can achieve exactly what you're after by default, but do talk to your Totara partner about it.
Just another question: is there support for multilingual reporting?
Yeah, there is. I mean, everything that you create, particularly the things like the templates. So if I go to the create template area here, all of this is managed through the language packs, and all of the descriptions in terms of the title and the descriptions here are all through the language packs. So if you translate it or you install the translation, then they will be displayed in your preferred language.
Okay, would you like any more questions on reports, or would you like to move on?
Let's push on to seminar, because seminar is a big topic. It in fact gets 2 slides, it's so big.
Okay.
So we've implemented a range of improvements across the seminar. So some of them will probably sneak up on you when you're looking at the reports and go, oh, that's so much better now. But some of them are really obvious, and all of them are fantastic. So you'll see in a second that there's an improved look and feel for the seminar tool. We've implemented a number of new pieces of functionality, which both individually and together open up a range of new different models that you can support across the seminar tool. So a reminder that the seminar tool is a way to book and track and manage attendance at events that are outside of the learning management system, whether they be offline or a virtual event. So we've got a range of updates here, and I'm going to go through them now. In fact, I'm going to jump straight into this site here, where I'm logged in as good old Lisa Learner on the Talent Experience platform site. So you'll see the slightly different navigation on the top from what we were looking at a second ago. And I'm just in a standard course here, which just has the one seminar event here. So hopefully we haven't logged out from time. Here we go. So here Lisa can see at a glance an improvement to the look and feel. So we can quite easily see which sessions belong to which event. I can go into these events and view more. And this overview of upcoming and past events will provide, this is a session in progress, will allow you to drill down or filter through across a variety of different event types, whether booking is open or closed or waitlisted. If you have a room that's more convenient to you, you can search across that. And if you've got a preferred facilitator, then you can absolutely select all of those events that he or she or they run. Now, if I wanted to join a session, go to event, I should be signed up to this event. What you can do is under this rooms functionality is if it's a virtual event, you can add a webinar link to your preferred webinar tool, whether it be Zoom or GoToMeeting or WebEx, whatever you like. And that link to that unique URL that you'll have for that particular event will be converted to a join now button here. I thought Lisa was signed up to this, perhaps she's not, but she can then jump straight into the event and she can sign up as required to any event that she's not already signed up to. So we go. So she can sign up and we've got a nice little pop up here. So if a session requires a manager approval after an individual has signed up, it will give you a status, so pending approval. In this case, the session allows straight booking. So you have a really clear, this is my current status. And likewise, if I cancel the booking, I can cancel the booking directly through here. So with the use of the Join Now button, it means that, which normally would just pop up here, but it's being a little bit naughty for me right now, means that it's a very light integration across a webinar tool. It's simply a link, which means there's no integration with a specific tool, meaning it's completely agnostic as to what is your preferred webinar platform. It's simply a link to a nominated area. In this case, this would go straight to my Zoom account. Now, as you look down, another thing that you'll probably notice here is the new option of a facilitator. So previously, you would have to add trainers or facilitators for an event as an asset, treating them very much like a laptop or a cable. So instead, we've created a new entity or a new resource type called facilitator. And this facilitator, you can have multiple facilitators for an event. And facilitators can link to actual accounts within the system, which means you can have a calendar and notification system for these individuals because they're actually linked to accounts within the system. You can also link them to external entities, and they don't have a calendar, but they can be linked and associated and shown as a facilitator across the particular event. Now, I want to show you this from the flip, from the administrator point of view, so bear with me. I'm just going to jump into that course. Don't worry, I'll be going through all of these exciting things happening on screen in just a moment. So this site, please don't think that's a performance issue. This site is hosted in New Zealand, so it's just reaching across to the other side of the world right now. So please do be patient. So as an administrator, you'll see I also have an updated UI and UX. Oh, there's the Join Now button. Excellent. Thank you very much for showing up, Mr. Join Now. So you've got a Join Now button, and if you look at the URL that when I'm hovering over, it goes to a specific Zoom account. So again, better look and feel, and now I have a range of quick options rather than a series of icons to go through and edit the event or update it or add individuals. So I'm going to pop into that event now. And again, I get the same view and summary of any information related to that event. Likewise, if I go into view all of the events, I have an updated look and feel, and I've got the option to filter across a few more options. And we see what's probably the most exciting update for a lot of people that are existing users of Seminar, which is the ability to mark attendance at the session level. So you can see here that I can take attendance for each of the sessions that make up this one event, as well as taking event attendance. So it's we've got a couple of options around this, and one of them is specifying when you can mark attendance. So whether it's at the start of the event, or it must be at the start of the session or the end of the session, or at the end of the entire event. So you've completely configurable when that option becomes open. And if I go in to take attendance here, you'll see that I've got a really nice interface for specifying the attendance at all of the sessions that make up the event, as well as the event for a whole. And if I go through and update attendance, you'll see one hopefully exciting update, which is the unable to attend, so the valid no-show status. So if I add a couple of different statuses here and save, and then go to the event attendance, you'll notice that there is a summary here of all of the session attendances before I can then overall make the event attendance status. So this individual has attended one of these fully and one of them partially, so they get a partially attended event status. And depending on the particular individual, maybe they were just 5 minutes late, so I might be a little bit more generous and offer them a fully attended status. Now you'll also notice here that we've got a new option here, which is event grade, and you can switch on what's called manual grading, which is really exciting opportunity here to switch or remove grade from attendance. So currently in 12. If you're fully attended, you're 100%. If you're partially, you're 50%. And you can go in and edit that within the gradebook, but the interface is a little bit clunky. Now you can edit it directly here within the seminar tool, which means that you can have measures for contribution and engagement rather than just attendance. So this Annie may have been fully attended, but maybe she was not very engaged, or maybe she wasn't collaborating with her peers. Likewise, I don't know, maybe Jordan was partially attended, but was super engaged the time that he or she was there. Now, all of these things tied together, like I say, create a range of new options in terms of the type of training that you can support across the seminar tool. So you can have split sessions, you can manage those really easily. So people that have to attend multiple days, you can have models where an individual has to attend a morning and an afternoon session, but they don't have to be across the same day. You can have sessions which may be basic in the morning and advanced in the afternoon, and some people stay on, some people do not. And a range of options around continuous professional development. So people that might need to attend X number of sessions a month or a year on a particular item in order to maintain their accreditation. So lots to get through there. Now, you can also have multiple rooms per session. That's a new option across Totara Learn. Before, you could just have one room, which means you can have, for example, here we've got training room 1 and 2. So you might have people that are looking after by one facilitator and a second in another room, or if there's spillover. So you can have multiple rooms. And that also supports some bigger options in terms of events. So if I go to the take attendance area here, you'll see here at the bottom of attendance, there we go. We've still got the download sheet. Actually, I was on the right page before. Taking a step back. There we go. We can also export a sample or a template for a attendance import. So by CSV, you can upload attendance, and that will support like larger events. So whether they be offline or online, quite often you can export maybe barcode scans into a CSV, or if it's a live event, for example, Zoom, you can download attendees in CSV format, and then you can re-upload that to an event across the attendance area. And that is applicable if you want to perhaps award post-event badges like, post-event activities like a badge, or maybe have them complete a survey through the feedback tool, or maybe you want to offer them a discussion forum from the event. So you can then provide those post activities across by uploading their attendance in bulk. And this is the option to upload it. So you can export a template and upload it from there. So we've got a lot. We've got a lot there. So skipping back to the slides here. So we also have a number of new embedded reports. So some reports that were existing kind of static or dashboard reports are now embedded reports, which means you can schedule them, you can edit them, you can share them as required. And there's a new completion required for criteria for seminar tool, which is that the event has been over for X number of days, which means you can delay completion until perhaps you have received feedback forms, or seen the individual demonstrate capability based on what they were trained in across the seminar event. There's a lot of really exciting options across seminar tool. I appreciate I've gone into super quickly. We will offer a more dedicated session across the community because there's a lot to get through, but it is some really nice upgrades across the seminar tool. I might push on to new audience rules and then go for questions, Matt, if that's all right.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, so for people that aren't familiar with Totara audiences, we have the ability to collect individuals together in groups called audiences. We can do that by manual selection called a set audience, or we have an automated rule-based option called dynamic audiences. For those that are familiar with Totara Learn, we've got a range of new dynamic audience rules. So obviously, not only do we accommodate automation across these audience roles, but it means that you can provide more targeted access to learning, get learning to the right people at the right time. And there's also some exciting options in terms of visibility of certain areas, whether it be dashboards or featured links tiles. You can restrict that by audience and main menu items. So there's 11 new audience roles, dynamic audience roles. So we have has and the number of direct, indirect, and or temporary reports. There is a new audience for historic course completion and course completion date, which allows you to accommodate courses which sit within a certification where their completion is archived. Once they hit that recertification point, the system will no longer bounce them out of an audience if they are in that archive status of course completion, which is for a lot of people probably a sort of fist pump in the air. We have course enrollment, which is really exciting for me, as well as program assignment. And that for me, I find particularly exciting around creating recommendations for individuals on the next course that they might want to complete or next program they might want to complete. And again, you can tie that into the visibility of images or tiles across the featured links block. So you can have a unique look and feel and unique or almost unique recommendations for individuals based on rules that you've created using these new audience rules. We also have account creation date. Job assignment ID is also a new audience rule. There has appraisees is another, and we also have this one's quite niche, but for some of you it might be exciting, is where you have an organization type, which has a custom field, which is a multi-select field. You can now base an audience based on any of the values within that particular custom field. Alrighty, I need a sip of water, Matt, so hit me with some questions.
Okay, most questions are about seminars. I've posted a link to the seminars course for V13 as well in the Academy, so you can also go and have a look at that. Some questions for seminars, which quite a few people have asked, is does it work with Microsoft Teams?
Yep, so you could add a link to Teams as well. Yep, it's just a URL, so it's completely agnostic as to which system you're using, as long as there's a unique URL for the particular space that you'll be joining for this online event, it will work. In terms of MS Teams, do join me next week for a session on Totara Engage, where we've got actually a rich integration with Microsoft Teams, which I'll be going through in more depth.
Okay, does the Join Now button go in calendar invitations?
That's a great question. No, I don't believe it does. I think it's something that you need to live view, but the link to the event will show as a URL within any notifications.
For a seminar, is there a place to write like comments about an attendee? There you have the drop downs where you could see if they partially attended. Is there a place to add a comment about them as well, or?
Not currently, no. It's a really interesting idea. Yeah, definitely a really good idea. I'm sure I've seen a ticket for that. So yeah, if you do have any suggestions on these types of things, do post them in the suggested features forum within the community as well. I'm learning how you guys use the system. It's been fantastic for the product managers to shape the roadmap. It's a fantastic idea.
Can users mark their attendance manually?
Not themselves, no. It has to be done by someone with permission to do so, who is traditionally an administrator, editing trainer, or the nominated facilitator.
Okay, and could the webinar link to like Big Blue button activity, so the seminar management and seminar itself sit inside Totara rather than jumping out to Zoom or Teams?
Well, with Big Blue button specifically, I believe there is an integration that one of our partners has developed, but there is no connection, like direct integration with any webinar tool at this stage across Totara Learn. But if you do a quick Google search, you could probably find that partner and find that integration and maybe reach out. I believe they've done it as an open source project.
Okay, should we move on to the next section then for now?
Yes. Let's do that, because I can see the time from here. All right. So open badges, personal favorite of mine, and for anyone who knows me, open badges. So we've implemented the badges 2.0 standard, and that offers a range of other updates and improvements as a result. So jumping through to my site here and jumping into badges. So what we have now is the ability to have versioning. So you can manually add in a version of a particular badge, and you can connect different versions under this related badges area here. You can also have multilingual badges, which is a great thing for a lot of people. So it has a list of all possible known languages at the time of installation, and you can create those those translations, and then the badge will be issued and visible to the individual in their preferred language if it's installed on the site and that you've got a required translation. It won't automatically translate anything for you. Alongside that, we've got some updates to accessibility in terms of the image that you update. So there's more information baked into the badge, which includes things like the image author's name, a link to it in a caption, so you don't have to necessarily click on the badge to view, to link to the issuer's original site. You can bake in more information, including the description, into the badge, which not only makes it more accessible, it's a little faster and easier across the system to view when you share those badges, to view the information relating to that badge and why you earned that badge. In terms of sharing those badges, we've also created a more flexible interface for linking to your preferred badges backpack area. It's no longer tied to Mozilla Backpacks, which is no longer running. There is a default option for badger.io, but you can add your own preferred backpack service, and you can just set that within the administration area. We also have this really exciting for me, I'm getting a real kick out of the endorsement functionality. So what you can have is not only the person that issues it, but someone that claims to endorse that badge. And that might be someone internal, so an internal expert or subject matter expert, which says, yep, the person that earned this badge really earned it, and I endorse this badge and the work that they have done. Or you can maybe partner with an external body and have a kind of a partnered endorsement. So maybe it's a first aid certificate, which is endorsed by St. John's Ambulance, or another type of endorsement from an external awarding body that connects your badge and their services together. And there's a lot of value in that. Not only does it give a greater weight to the badge, you've got some co-marketing opportunities. If you share that badge, then you can see that your site has been working with these two organizations are working together and might bring more people to your site, and generally more encouraging for users to be awarded these endorsed badges because of the weight behind them now. Right. Moving on. So catalogue updates. Now we've got a couple of little changes which make a big difference across the catalogue. So let's skip over to the catalogue here. So what we have here within the catalogue is the opportunity to make the catalogue an individual's homepage or the default homepage. Maybe I will skip to the site here, which is running just a tiny bit faster. Here we go. It's nice and quick. So you can see that as an individual, so as admin user, I can make this my homepage, and individuals have the same option along here, as well as the administrator can choose for the catalogue to be everyone's default homepage. Which means you can have users jumping straight into that learning catalogue as you so wish. We also have header and footer blocks here, which you can see scrolling across the screen. If I customize this page or turn editing on, I have the option to add a header area and a header block at the bottom. And in this case, I've opted to use the featured links block, which I was talking about before. Which means you can add dynamic elements to the site, maybe not quite as dynamic as this on screen right now. Maybe you could slow down that rotation, but it means you can have without having any design or HTML or JavaScript experience, create this dynamic look and feel to your catalog. And you'll notice that these can be links. And I touched on before the fact that you can because of the functionality around featured links, you can restrict the view of certain images or tiles that you see on the screen at certain time to certain audiences. So you can have quite a personalized carousel of recommendations or things that people should or shouldn't be looking at using this functionality. In addition, we have, there we go, the option to remove the step when people jump from this item view directly to the course. So if I go into configure catalog under the general section, there's just a little tick box here, which is a cheeky little addition, which not everyone will notice, where you can remove that extra step. So ordinarily or currently you click on the item view and then you see the details view. If you want, you can skip that view by removing that tick box, and the individual, if they can enroll or are already enrolled in that course, program or certification, can jump straight through it. And I would also say that, I wonder if this other page is loaded now, that you can, one of the other updates across the catalogue is the integration of Totara Engage content. So the catalogue now includes your courses, programs and certifications from Totara Learn. And if you're also using Totara Engage, you can use the exact same catalogue to search across the resources and playlists that you may have created across Engage. So it's a be a familiar interface for Totara Engage users, and you can filter on those different types of resources as well as the different topics, and pick out micro learning by the time to read filter. This doesn't really want to load right now. We can move on to questions while that's loading away. Anything for me, Matt?
So just a small question is a little bit different. So just on theming, do you have the option to change the background color for sort of dyslexic people if they wanted to change it themselves?
That's interesting. There isn't ability for people to change it themselves. I do know that there are a couple of different plugins that you can use. I think it's called an accessibility plugin, which does allow that high contrast view, as well as increasing the font size. So that's not something that's available by default, but you could look and talk with your partner about adding that in, which is a really nice and pretty easy block to get going, really. But alternate, what you could also do is have a tenant theme, which has a high contrast option, and you could add yourself or be added to an accessibility tenant, for example, so you have that option of that different look and feel to your site.
Thanks, Meredith. Noticing the time and what's left to go, so shall we push on
into that? Okay. So in terms of look and feel, so this is the Engage catalog that I was trying to get to load. So we'll close that down to not confuse it. So we have a few options around look and feel while we're talking about it. We have introduced a new default theme called Ventura. And this gives you some really nice options in terms of editing the default theme. So you can base it off your existing theme and then edit the changes. And what this allows you to do is create a new login page image. So you can have a splash image at the cross of the screen on your login screen if you're asking people to log into your site first. You can quickly drag and drop a new logo, a new favicon as you like into your site. And the interface for uploading or updating your color scheme is really nice. It's very clear where those changes are going to be. And depending on what operating system you're using, you've got a nice color picker option here. And you can extend it down to a range of different colors across here. Here is the login page. This is the default image. And you can really quickly add new or different default images for the catalog for courses, programs and certifications. And if you're using Engage for resources and workspaces as well. And you'll also notice as I've been going through here, we have an improved interface. This is the Talent Experience platform where we have all three products working together, and you can see that it's seamless. I can jump from Learn and the core platform over to Engage settings, and no one knows that they're jumping to a different product. Likewise, perform functionality sits here within development, and I can jump straight into a particular area of Totara Perform. And as always, you can edit that main menu item as required through the administration settings. So this is Totara Engage, same look and feel, and you can bounce straight from creating your own resources and playlists straight to the catalog or to your record of learning. So very much seamless. I think this will be the final one that I demo just because of the time today, is in the user area. Now, this is one of those pieces of functionality and you might not realize how neat it is to start with. But what it does is, there we go, this, when you view a user's profile, this page was fixed before and now it's block based. And what this means is that you can add information as blocks. So if I turn editing on, you'll see what I mean, that this, for example, is the user profile information. And if I was to add another block, I could add something, any of the different blog options that you have, which is interesting because you can, again, have your sort of personalized recommendations using your featured links block. You can re-engage users who might otherwise be lost after they go to their profile information, might get a little bit bored with what's on screen and leave. So you can be advertising and engaging within this page. But also within this user profile block, when you create a new block, it's completely configurable about what will display. So this means that not only can you choose what or what does not appear in each block and on that default profile page, it also means that all of the different permissions and accessibilities and capability options that relate to all the blocks that you have now, so who can or can't see a block, can be applied to this user profile information, which means you can say at a very granular level who sees what about each user, which adds new dimensions across data protection and privacy and confidentiality. You can say administrators only see this information, or you might say someone who's a site manager can see particular information. And all of those sections that we saw, you see across Totara 12 in terms of sections, they're all available there, and you can choose what is and what is not displayed across each of these blocks. So this is a real cooker. It is very neat because you have a great deal of control about what is and isn't available to users when they and other people view profiles. And within this, and just finally across users, there's also what's called a user profile summary card. And you'll see this throughout both Learn and across Engage, which is a short summary or snapshot of the individual. And you've got 4 possible fields, an optional user picture. And this shows a very quick snapshot of the individual. And if I go to view my own profile here, this section here is an example of the profile card, and it means that you can show the information that's relevant to your organization. So if you want to see their email address or you don't, you can configure that. If you want to show what department or building they're in, you can do that. You can add custom fields as you like. So I knew that I wasn't going to get through it. Matt told me I wasn't going to get through it, and he was absolutely right. So very quickly, I won't demo these, I'll just talk about them. You can have create dashboards which now allow guest access, which provides some really exciting opportunities around extended enterprise and marketing content across your site. We've made some updates to the record of learning. We've simplified that page so that we've removed evidence and learning objectives from the record of learning and switch the evidence bank to an updated core level functionality where you can have a custom form for all the different types of evidence. So you can have a unique and streamlined form for every type of evidence you might upload. And for some, this last item is particularly exciting, which is within programs and certifications and course sets within those programs and certifications, you can actually reorder courses. So previously you would have to add items or courses in the order that you want individuals to approach them. Now you can actually just use up and down arrows and move them around, which for some people is actually a big game changer. And of course, probably the biggest improvement across Totara Learn is the fact that it can now be extended with Totara Perform and or Totara Engage. And connecting these other products offer whole new models. So with Learn and Engage, You can have your compulsory and compliance and instructor-led training, as well as your social and peer-to-peer learning. You can facilitate the two by connecting them with Learn and Perform. You can manage professional performance and development and assign and track development across and relate that to the learning that they have or have not completed. And of course, pairing all three together into the Talent Experience platform creates a full social and formal learning environment, development and engagement suite. And it is extremely cost effective. There is a discount model across having multiple products. So it's not as much as you would think to have all three products. It becomes cheaper for every product that you purchase in terms of the subscription cost. So do speak with your partner, because it's not as scary as you'd think. So there are more sessions to come. If you want to drill into Totara Perform and Totara Engage, I'm offering sessions this week and next. We'll be going probably as fast as we did today. And as I said, there'll be a dedicated session week after that on Totara Mobile. We'll be able to answer those specific questions. So I appreciate I've gone through a lot of things super fast today. So there are a range of resources to support you in getting up to speed with Totara Learn. There is the functionality overview, which hopefully Matt probably already has posted a link to on our site. That's a resource that you can download and view and see where all of the updates and bits and pieces and how they connect across Learn. And if you are looking for a new learning management system, or you're looking at replacing your existing system, we have put together this template for creating an RFP. And what it does is give you all the different sections that you're going to want to include, why it's important, the kind of information that you want to use. And it's a Word document, so you can delete all of my hints and tips across there and plug in your own information. And the better the RFP, the better the quote, the better the response from anyone. So don't reinvent the wheel. Please do feel free to use that. It's free to access and use. And finally, we do, as Matt said, a range of really great academy courses. There's the help documentation, and there is the version comparison table if you're wanting to see a breakdown of some of the differences between version 12 and 13. There's, of course, the Totara community, and there's a range of new resources across our website. So totaralearning.com/resources. There's a range of ebooks and feature sheets, which I'd encourage you to have a look through. The marketing team have been working really hard on developing a range of really fantastic resources. Oh my goodness, I went for an hour, Matt. Do we still have anyone left?
No, yeah, we do. Yeah, that's fine. There's lots of questions and we haven't answered them all today, but we can post them in the community.
Yes.
So we'll gather up all of the questions here and we'll post those into the community. Do you want to answer a couple now before we go, or?
Yeah, anyone who wants to stay. I will say before we want to go, thank you for everyone that wants to clock off now. I very much appreciate your time. If you're not a member of the Totara community, do sign up. It's free, and plus you'll get this recording in a nice spot. And I'd love to hear from you and any feedback that you might have across today's session as well. So stick around, I'll answer a few more questions up until the point that my throat gives out.
Okay, let's go for a couple. So just in terms of, you introduced a few times there, the guest dashboard. What exactly is a guest, and what does that mean for a dashboard?
Great question. So when you log into a Totara site, you become what's called an authenticated user. So it means that you've logged in, the system knows who you are and can track it. You can have sites where you aren't forced to log in before you either get to the site or you view content. So the system will usually by default automatically log you in as a generic guest user. So it just means I don't know who you are, but you're here and you're a guest. And that means that you can do things like look, but can't touch generally. So if you have a guest access course, you don't have to log in. You can go into the course and you can view the content. You just can't participate. Dashboards are the same thing. So it can be a view, perhaps like thinking about the course catalog. It could be a view of looking at everything that's there. They can drill into the information relating to the particular course or program and certification and go, oh, this is definitely for me. They click on enroll, and then they're prompted to either create a password or log in. So it means that you can use it as an advertisement or a marketing area. It could be that you're getting people just to have a look at what's available without having to log in. So that's kind of no obligation read-only access, and that's what I mean by guest.
Great, thanks, Meredith. Will the new version allow reports with due dates for individual courses within a certification?
I'm pretty sure you could generate that now. I'd have to go in and have a play with the report source to answer. That's quite a specific question. Maybe I'll park that one and then I'll send a screenshot of what I've been able to produce.
Okay, more generic one for reports. Are there any new sources available in Totara Learn 13?
There are a couple of new sources, and there are some tidies up of some existing sources. So we've removed some columns which didn't quite make sense, or which were duplicated, or relate to older functionality. So there's some general little bits and pieces across there. There's also a couple of new report sources for seminar, and for Totara Engage, there's things like inappropriate content report and content engagement report, and a few other bits and pieces. There are so many report sources, I think we've lost count. I think it's around 70 or 80 at this point. Okay, I think that's me, Matt. Apologies to anyone who didn't get their question answered. I can feel that I'm getting huskier and huskier as these questions go on. So please accept my apologies for not getting to your question. I promise I will answer them in the Totara community area under the Totara Learn forum. I'll post all the responses there, and you might even get a better response than what I can provide here, because I might be at a cheeky little GIF or a screenshot for you in those responses. But thank you so much for your time and for listening. Thank you very much, Matt. You have been a fantastic co-host as per usual. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Meredith. And thanks for everyone who's posted all these questions. Lots of great questions, lots of thoughts about Totara Learn. I can see everyone's very excited as well, which is great to see.
Oh, that's fantastic. We can't wait to share it with you, and do stay tuned for more Academy courses, updates to help documentation, and a series of really in-depth, not quite so rushed sessions through the community on some of the specific functionality across Learn, Engage, and Totara Perform. All right, thank you everyone. Very much appreciate your time. Have a great day.
Don't forget to sign up for the next webinars.
Yes, and that too.
So we'll see you on Thursday.
See you Thursday. Thanks everyone.
Bye.